Robert,
Yo, what's shaking AC?
does that ever, does your throat get scratchy when you do that? Or are you good?
No, my throat doesn't get scratching. In fact, that's my natural singing voice. So if you ever hear me singing like rock songs or love ballads, it's this like deep Bryan Adams meets Michael Bolton type of
All right. I'm glad Michael Bolton. Oh my gosh. Okay. Um, all right. Well, how are things going for you?
great, just trekking along, reading a lot on the internet, all that sort of stuff. Do you read a lot? I mean, have you read any good books lately?
I actually read a minimum. It sounds so funny, but one page a day because it's so ridiculously easy to make it happen that you end up starting to read and then you might read at least a couple more pages. And I find that when I do that, speaking of like professional development books, though, like I wouldn't do that probably with a fiction book because it would be kind of weird. You'd be like, what was going on again? But then I can sort of read a bit, digest it, and like take that with me for the day. So the book that I recently finished is Rocket Fuel. Have
Hmm.
you read it?
I have not. No.
So it's by Gino Wickman and Mark Winters or
Okay.
Mark C. Winters. And oh my gosh, it was so eye-opening I've definitely had heard about and thought that I understood the synergy of a visionary and integrator relationship. But in reading that book, if you are one or the other of those two roles, it is so empowering and freeing because you start to really understand that there is value in your role. And as a visionary, you often feel like what is my role? Like if you start getting into the weeds in the business, there's so many things that are negative that can be negative about that. And really at the end of the day, you're missing the opportunity to grow the business. So to hear that is the role, like it's things like big relationships and creative new ideas and vision and passion and all that. I'm like, that's my favorite thing to do. So good thing. So anyway, yeah, you haven't read the book, but you guys use traction quite
Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
religiously control V.
Yeah, we're aware of it, and I'm on the same page as you. Is that it's important to sort of divide that out, and in short form, I like to say that the visionary is a person who grows the business, and the integrator is a person who runs the business. That sort of thing. Although I gotta say, I really don't like the term visionary, because lately a lot of people use the term visionary to sort of bolster their ego. I'm a visionary like Elon Musk or something along those lines. And people even like make it as their like tagline on LinkedIn, and I'm like, it makes it
Yeah.
sound like you're a fortune teller, like you're a gypsy. You've got a gypsy and an integrator. you know
Yeah, that might not be valuable, but I hear you. And but I think understanding what it is, it is super helpful. And I guess so what you guys have, you're the visionary of Control V, and James, your COO, is the integrator. Um, do you find that one of the things in Rocket Fuel that is brought up is that you're usually about 80% of one, like, of visionary or integrator. Now there are people that are right in the middle, which I'm so glad I'm not, because that would be confusing which way to go, right? But do you find that there's much overlap? Like, I guess one of the things that I think I heard in the book or read in the book is that there's no two VI combos are the same. So it's not a super crazy science. It's like a goal to aim towards. So for you, do you find that as a visionary, you end up getting into the integrator role and vice versa?
uh kind of, but not really. Like the way I like to see it is like this integrator kind of, report to him or her reports, their CFO, the COO, the CMO, all that sort of stuff, right? So if you come up with like a new idea, like, hey, we're a t-shirt company and we're going to start selling mugs as well, this would presumably come from the visionary because he's spoken to a lot of people that manufacture mugs and there's a good market for it. And then he turns to the integrator and says, we need to start making mugs. And then the integrator will go to the CFO and be like, how do we make this financially possible? We'll go to the COO and say, how do we get the ops going on this? We'll go to the CMO. How do we start selling it? Right. And so like, to me, an integrator is a lot more like task focused. This is what needs to happen. All these people are going to do it. I'm going to keep them accountable. I'm going to keep the engine moving. Right. But, in a small team, you kind of have to take a lot of that stuff on. You kind of have to divide it. At Control V, we're pretty well divided. But sometimes, something would come up that like, a marketing manager would do. And I think to myself, if I wait until Monday to have my meeting with the integrator, and then the integrator talks to the CMO, who's going to talk to the marketing manager, who's going to get it done by the social media content manager, I'm just like, this will take me 5 minutes. I'm just going to do it. You know what I mean? But it's because we are a small team. So like some of that stuff bleeds across roles.
Well, and I guess that's what I'm getting at. I think that's probably the case for any size company, that there's going to be, like, again, there's no perfect, super clear definition that, you're only a visionary if this, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's a matter of kind of figuring out what works for you. What do you think the downsides are of the visionary role?
Like
people in that role, their nature.
Yeah. You know what? All right, listen, you caught me here. The downside is usually like you come up with like an idea or you see something and it looks awesome and you're like, let's do it. Just go do it. And like, so I can keep rolling. But there's so much that goes beyond that. Just go do it, and that takes time, that takes patience. And you're like, are we there yet? Because this was step one of this 6-step plan I'm seeing. We need to get rolling. There's people waiting on me. I need to do this. We're global domination. We're still on step one. What's taking so long? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's the impatience is one thing. And then I think what you're kind of getting at there too is, well, I'm not sure if you are, but I think the shiny object thing, like really wanting all these cool, awesome things to happen, having all these ideas that can't necessarily all get implemented, can be really painful for the visionary.
Well, okay, so I'd challenge you on that. I don't think a visionary should be concerned with shiny objects at all, at least in the corporate world or in the franchising world. A visionary should look at all the shiny objects and use their discretion and their knowledge to deploy those, rather than just saying we should do everything, right? So in an ideal world, the integrator really shouldn't question the visionary, because potentially the visionary's already done this analysis and is ready to move forward. If you're just going for shiny objects, you're not a visionary. You're just somebody with ADHD who wants to do everything all the time. You've got to be able to filter that stuff yourself as a visionary too, so that the integrator and his team or her team can say, okay, we have trust in the fact that this will be good. We don't need to start questioning all this. We just need to get rolling with it,
Yeah, I don't know. I think I have a different viewpoint on that. I think that first of all, a lot of visionaries do have ADD or ADHD. Pardon me if I'm whichever. I get that mixed up a little bit, but and it can be, there's it can help in that there are, I guess there's plus sides to it, or there's sort of pros to it, that we need some people to just be like seeing all these different things. But I think I do think it is the integrator that really has to make the evaluation on whether or not to bring it to the team. I don't think that the visionary is capable, to the extent that an integrator is, of being able to evaluate the decision. I think they can be part of the decision-making process, but I think the evaluation, I don't know, maybe we should reread the book.
I mean, my hope is that like this visionary is actually a prudent business person and is not just going to be throwing around shiny objects. And by the time it gets to the integrator, it's been filtered already,
Right. Okay. So yeah, it's, I think what you're getting at is kind of back to like what you said earlier, like, don't just call yourself a visionary and be this person that's just doing all kinds of crazy stuff, thinking it's okay to do that. And then, oh, why isn't this working? I'm being a visionary.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. You come up with an idea, you start talking to people, you build the big relationships, you do some fundamental analysis, you maybe pull on your team to run some numbers, you make a decision, and you say, okay, this is the decision, integrator, roll with it.
Okay. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. That was an interesting little back and forth, but yeah, definitely recommend people check out Rocket Fuel. It's very
Okay.
helpful.
3, 2,
Two,
1.
one.
Go
Go.
be awesome.